Welcome to the Rod and Cindy podcast. My name's Rod Lyman, and how are we doing today? You know what? I'm up here in Idaho in this really frigid area. Nah, it's not that bad. It's been really nice lately. 40 degrees. And, of course, my beautiful, beautiful co-host, her name is...
Hi, this is Cindy once again. Welcome all, and thank you for tuning in and listening to us. And I'm here in the beautiful Phoenix of Arizona.
What is the weather like there?
Wow, well, today I think it got to the mid-70s or maybe 78. And right now, I'm not sure. It might be about in the 50s or something.
Oh, my gosh. That's crazy, honey.
I know. It's beautiful. Actually, I walked outside to take the garbage out, and I saw lightning and heard thunder. I'm like, what the heck?
Wow, crazy. Yeah, we're supposed to get some snow up here. Kind of excited about that.
Oh, right on.
Got a lot of cool stuff going on up here. I can't wait for you to come up and check it out. It's beautiful, Cindy. There's some really great stuff going on, some really great people that I'm running into. It's really moving on the spiritual road here up here. It's kind of cool.
Oh, awesome. Awesome. I can hardly wait to come up soon.
I know. It's going to be exciting. Hey, Christmas is almost here.
Wow. Check it out.
And yes, I'm hoping to see you for Christmas. I'm putting cross my fingers that all the meetings and everything is done early enough so I can get down there and see you for Christmas. But we're just still hoping. Okay, how's that?
Oh, sounds good. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. I was really proud of you the other day. I was watching you on Facebook, and you'd call me and everything else that when you were doing the summit challenges. I was so dang proud of you. You know, it was something really that touched me and inspired me. And that because, I know you, and you doing these summit challenges were really important to you. And I just let's talk a little bit about that and challenges in people's lives and that. Let's talk about Cindy for a little bit and Cindy's challenge of this challenge. Well, start out by explaining what the heck you did.
Oh, I would love to. Thank you. So 6 years ago now, I stumbled across what they call the Phoenix Summit Challenge. Originally, I went to Parks and Rec to see if there was volunteer work. And that's how I stumbled upon it. And so I got excited and I joined it. And at the time, that particular time, I chose to do 7 summits, but it was broken up in 2 days, a Friday and a Saturday. Or maybe a Saturday and Sunday.
What is a summit?
Huh?
What is a summit, Cindy? What is a summit?
Summit is when you reach the top of a mountain. It's a mountain, yes. And
wow.
Yeah, and we have those here in Phoenix and actually Arizona in general. So, but it's really cool. I can just step outside my door basically, and there's a mountain I can hike, and it's just absolutely wonderful. So anyway, so I did the challenge and I loved it. And then after that, they didn't break the 7 summits up in 1 day or 2 days. They broke it up into only 1 day now, actually. Sorry. So after that, I did like maybe 4 or maybe 5 through the other years. And I did 5 last year, but this year it was my 6th year, like I had mentioned. And I was going to shoot to do 6 in 1 day because I had not done that yet. And honest to God, I got to tell you, I was like really apprehensive about it. I was nervous, but I still try to keep a positive upper lip about it, and that was my goal. And so I went out there that day, again, shooting for 6. And thing is, you have to check in to each summit, at the trailhead to make sure that they know that you're okay, because you have to check in. Even if you're not going to do the summit, then you just check right back out. So that was my thing I was going to do at one of the mountains. So I did that, and I walked a little bit to kill a bit of time, and then I started to head back, and I'm like, no, I'll go a little bit further, and got to a certain point, and I sat down and, just rested for a few minutes, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to go back down now. It's been long enough. And I started to head back down, and the guilt got to me, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? I should just do it. I feel really good. My feet were hurting me. That was it. And so I did that mountain. And
well, that's funny because because at that point you had called me and told me you're just going to go check in.
Yes, right.
Yeah, this is that, and to me, it's like, oh, okay, because that is quite the challenge that summit is.
Yes, absolutely. And the thing is, you're right. I called you at that point, and then I didn't call you after that because I actually did, when I decided to hike that mountain, I knew for sure I wanted to do the next two. The next one after that is my second favorite mountain. It's called Lookout. And then the last one is the last mountain. Everybody who does these challenges on that day, and it's only one day of the year, does South Mountain, because when you're done hiking South Mountain, then that's where all the festivities are, in the parking lot there at the park there. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to do this one, and then I'm just not going to, Facebook, nothing. I didn't do any media or nothing. I didn't even call you or anything. So I'm like, you know what? I just want to surprise everyone. So I hiked that mountain, and then I hiked the last two, and then that's when I posted that I did all 7, and I surprised everyone and myself. So I felt really blessed that I accomplished that. It was really amazing for myself.
Well, it brought a tear to my eye, especially when you called me and you're all excited and you tell me what you did. I mean, I was ecstatic. I mean, it really did bring a tear to my eye, because there's a lot of challenges you have gone through in the last 6 years. And I mean, we all go through challenges and that, but there were some really big challenges in that you had gone through. And you've only started doing this 6 years ago.
That is correct.
And yeah, and I'm not, I'm going to tell your age, because nobody knows how old you are anyway, because you always look so young. But when Cindy started this, she was 44 years old.
Yep.
And she was pretty well more fit than she is now. I'm going to say, I'm just going to say that you're younger and everything else. That you've gone through a divorce, you've gone through some stuff in your life and everything else, and some up and downs, changes, awakenings, and everything else. And you've gone through some challenges in your life. You're 50 years old now, Cindy.
Yep.
And you did 7 summits.
Yep.
How many miles is that?
Oh, yeah. Thank you for asking. So what it equaled out to be was 25 miles and almost 5,000 elevation gain. The elevation gain was almost 5,000.
You went 25 miles almost straight up.
Basically, if I were to...
In one day.
Yeah, one day. And on top of that, I had to drive to all the different summits, too.
Right. Yeah. And in between that, I mean, you had to take time you were cruising. You had to be cruising to do 25 summits straight up at 50 years old.
Yep. There you go.
What was your drive, Cindy? What was the drive?
Well, again, initially my drive was to do the 6, because, again, it was my 6th year. And so I thought, how cool would that be, to accomplish that? Because, again, I hadn't done more than 5 in one day. Plus, I think also my inner being has gone through some transitions this year, and I think I really needed to do that, for my own self-worth and my own self's sake, to get over some fears and some changes and some things in my life that were unsure and unstable, I guess, if you will, for me this year. And I think just being able to do that towards the end of this year really helped set the tone for myself going into now this next year. I believe that, it was one of those things that, oh my gosh, I did it. And I even superseded my goal. And it's like, okay, you know what? I can actually do things in my life. I can actually, accomplish things in my life. I can actually stop being so fearful of thinking that, I, can't get this job and make this kind of money, or I don't deserve this, these things, and that's what I've been struggling with for a little while now. And I feel like, you know what, if I can conquer those summits, then I can conquer the stuff that has been going on in my mind, if you will, in myself.
Well, you're a big inspiration to a lot of people already. And there's funny is that I want to make a t-shirt that I want to be like Cindy. Because I hear a lot of that. I mean, it's your hair, Cindy's got this gorgeous hair. I just want to be like Cindy. But now that you accomplished this is something huge that you can even bring out. during this whole year that I mean, you weren't getting ready for this the whole year. I mean, it's just in the last couple of months of that you decided I'm really going to do this, and you started really working to get ready
Right.
for this. Um, with age comes a little extra pounds, you get tired easier and everything else and that. And there was no stopping you this year.
No.
And you became an inspiration. And one of the things that I think was inspirational to you was you came up with this super me.
Yes, 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 yes. On the mountain while I was, getting conditioned for this.
Right. And kind of explain a little bit about what did you overcome? What was the driving factor of that?
Of my challenge or
Yeah, the challenge of when you found that super me. I think that was when, to me, an outsider looking in, honey, that it looked like to me that was when you really got that fire going, fire in your chest, fire in below. You just wanted to burn, and you wanted to go forth and
right.
forward. What was that trigger for that? What happened to make you want to find that
Yes.
super me?
Well, first of all, yes, this I just want to explain what my super me is that came to me when I was on the mountain a couple months ago, and because of my super me, you're right. It did help with my drive and my challenge. So, what it is super me is basically the letters S, P, M, and E actually stand for spiritual, physical, mental, emotional. So I took those four letters of each of those words and I came up with the word super me. So, S for spiritual and then U and then P, etc. So to me, that's exactly what I did is and, I did my super me. So what we all try to work on, and I'm in myself as well, is we all on a daily basis should be working on one or the other or all the above, on your spiritual, growth, your physical cleansing and clearing and growth and, etc. And that's what I did, when I was on that mountain. She just gave me that courage and strength and energy within to bring out that super me. And as I was walking or running or, climbing up the hill there, I was letting things go and releasing and just feeling grateful and, blessed and like just all this stuff, and a couple times I think I even broke down actually and had a couple tears come, forth and I shed. A few times I, laughed and, then you're passing people all day long, and they're just in that same beautiful mode as you are, because they're all on the challenge. Some are going faster than others, but everybody's in a good spirit, so it helps you even lift your spirits and courage within even more.
Wow, that is really amazing, honey. It's a great story too. I mean, uh, how you came about that super me and who you are and everything else and that along with it. I get these people that is like they're maybe a little overweight and they're reaching their 50 and they just feel like they don't have anything left inside of
Hmm.
them. What would you say to them to encourage them to keep going?
Oh, wow. Good question. Absolutely. Bring on your own super me, just because you may be going through a change of life, you know, no matter what it is, if you like, you're going through a home situation, a relationship situation, or like you said, a physical within yourself, you've gained weight because of transitions within your body, um, for whatever those reasons are. Heck yeah, I say just, center in, bring in that super me or super you, and just go for it. Just say, you know what, I can do this. And, like the old saying is, if you put your mind to it, you really can succeed. And I truly believe that as I did that. And I do understand that language now. And I do believe that anybody can do it, and it may not be hiking 7 summits in one day or 7 mountains in one day. It might be something else, that you've kind of maybe suddenly come upon a passion of, I'll tell you what, truth be told, I was not a runner. I'm not a real big sports person to begin with. And, hiking mountains, I was like, oh, okay, whatever. But something drew me to it. I did about in 2010. I started uh, walking, and I started jogging because I was enjoying myself. Then before I knew it, I was on the mountain, and the mountain, she gave me everything that I needed. She really did. She helped give me strength within my spirituality, strength within my heart and soul to make changes in my life that were pretty strong, and physical changes come with that naturally, and just you shed so much, and so doing finding something that you may think you never would do, and it may come about to you, and it's just a wonderful thing. It could be skiing, it could be you know anything, playing ball of any kind, or writing books. I'm not sure what it is, but you'll find it and you can do it, and especially if it's in the a physical form.
Right. So, Cindy, I mean, maybe I missed this then, but what was your drive to even start doing this? You said you started walking and everything else. Did were you just done with things in life and you just wanted to be by yourself and just go out? Now I got to add something to this, okay? Because I know when I want to go hiking with you, it's like, you leave me in the dust and you don't really care about hiking with me anyway. I walk, you kind of jog, okay, or
Right.
run. That so, but so this is kind of your thing. This is yours. What got you to do this?
So, okay, so go back to what I was just saying a moment ago, when I said I started walking and things. I came to a point
Yes,
in my life where I was gaining weight, and I was getting heavy, and I'm sure it was because of many factors. It could have been a little bit of stress. Probably I was unhappy in my life. Maybe the change of life. Getting older. I was turned my 40s, and just things like that, I'm sure, and probably just not eating well. I'm not sure, but anyways, I was getting heavier and heavier and heavier. I mean, to the point where I was heavy, like when I was pregnant, heavy, and I was like, oh my gosh, I've got to do something. And so that's when I
oh, I can't imagine you being heavy. I just
well,
can't.
thank you, but because you met me after that. but but I truly was, and it made me more unhappy. So again, like I said, I started walking around the park there in my neighborhood, and then I started walking a little faster. So I slowly, encouraged myself to do more because I was starting to feel better, like moving, exercise. I don't even want to really call it exercise because I was moving. It was making me feel good. Like I could, some changes were happening within my body and soul and my mind, and so it encouraged me to get out more and more and more and more, to the point where I was running, okay, from the front door to my house, running to the base of the mountain, all the way around the mountain. That means up and down and around, and then back to my house, front door again. It was 4 miles. Eventually, I was doing that after a few months of just barely getting started, moving. And that was a huge accomplishment. And I had a lot of spiritual moments up there, and a lot of cleansing and clearing. It was just amazing. So, and I did, and I lost the weight, and made me feel that much more better and happier for myself. And when you feel good inside and out and outside and in, especially on the outside, because that's what we see mostly, it changes your whole perspective in your life, and you have more, yeah, you have
Absolutely.
more gratitude, you have more happy, you have more joy. You know, yeah, it might
Joy.
seem a little vain, to, know that, oh my gosh, I'm thinner, I'm healthier on the outside, but you know what? That's what actually makes you feel good too.
Yes, absolutely. Now, Cujo is in the back there growling at you, and that you must be in a public place, kind of like myself, and that where there's people around, right? And Cujo's by your side.
Yeah, definitely.
Cindy, this has been an inspiration to me. You have to understand that. Well, when we first met together and we were together, a lot of things changed in my life, and a lot of things still have changed. There's a spiritual growth that I really understand is that when our spirit gets inside of us and we become to expand, our body starts expanding too because it wants to fit the energy that's within us.
Oh,
I went through,
I just said,
huh?
oh my gosh, well, that makes sense.
Well, it does. And so the thing is though, but we have to make sure we're talking to our body at all times. we're telling our body, hey, it's just energy, just let it expand. The body doesn't have to expand with it. We're always talking to our soul, our body, and parts of our body that need to hear it. Is our body needs to listen to us, and we tell it things. We tell things all day, either good or bad. We're always talking to our body, and it's a fascinating thing. Now, to add to what your whole beautiful story and everything else, and that you're a great inspiration. I'm sure you're going to be out there speaking more about this too in different clubs and different places and that, because this is such a great thing to talk about. I'm so proud of you, by the way, Cindy.
Thank you.
And it's wish I've been there for most of your summit challenges, and I wanted to be there for this one, but it just didn't work out. And it is what it is. But I was there in heart, and you knew that. I was always there for you.
Absolutely. And you're on my tail about taping my legs and feet up, my ankle up.
Well, hey, I put that leg and hip into place so many times it has to stay. You have to take care of it, honey.
Absolutely, and I did tape my feet and legs up and my ankles up, and it certainly helped, no doubt about it. And got
so damn good at that.
Thank you, and I certainly got a lot of looks and a lot of questions on the trail.
Well, should have handed out cards. You could have been taping a lot of people by then, honey.
I know, right?
Well, it's really interesting. It's funny is that a long time ago, it was during my divorce. Somebody had sent me this thing through the email about challenges in my life, because divorce is a challenge. Everything we do is a challenge. That you've been this huge inspiration to me, and I found it today, which was synchronicities. Is that I found this thing about challenges.
Oh, cool.
I don't know who wrote it, and I don't remember who sent it. So I wish I could give them kudos for it, because it's awesome. The number one challenge in people's life is the age. Did you know that?
Wow, no.
Age really is just a number, but successful people don't let their age define who they are, what they are capable of. Just ask Betty White. Think about Betty White.
Oh my
she
gosh.
Doesn't, look at her. She's going. She's like an ever-ready battery.
I know. She's so great.
I love it. And one of the quotes that go with age being one of the challenges is they follow their heart and allow their passion, not the body they're living in, to be their guide. They follow their heart and allow their passion, not the body they're living in, to be their guide. So your heart and your passion is what drove you to be who you are and to go where you needed to go. And it wasn't the body that drove you there, because your body's just going to go along. There's something that was in your mind, Cindy, that you wanted to do this, and you were focused on this, and it made you feel good.
Oh, absolutely.
And the reason the body followed is because the body started realizing it did make him feel good. It did make your body feel good.
Absolutely. And what's interesting is that, I can, hike mountains, every day, but typically I only hike one. But when it comes that challenge day, it's like your whole self, just gets real centered in that moment, and that's your challenging moment, and you just
Absolutely.
go, okay, here I'm gonna start the trailhead at 5 a.m. and I've got all day, one day to do this, and you just something about your whole mind, body, and soul it just conforms to that moment and that day to get it done.
Do you think that learning your spirituality and learning your awakening actually helped you even better at doing this?
Absolutely.
I think so too.
Because you know what? I didn't have the fire within. I'm sure it was there. Don't get me wrong. Everybody has their little flame going, and it depends on what sparks it. But when I had my awakening, as we spoke, a few podcasts ago, that definitely ignited, and it was like, a brush fire roaring within my body, and I'm not kidding you. For me to hike and run mountains like I was, and I still am, even at 50, it's like, whoa.
It's you being able to step outside your body and just know who you are. That's a big important thing.
Thank you. Absolutely.
Did you know what the number 2 challenge is in people's life?
Relationships.
No. Stop it,
Okay,
Cindy.
what?
No.
No, I
It's
don't know. I'm just saying.
what other people think.
Oh, about ourselves.
Yeah. When your sense of pleasure and satisfaction are derived from comparing yourself with others, you are no longer the master of your destiny.
Wow.
Yeah. No matter what other people think of you at any particular moment, one thing is certain: you're never as good or as bad as they say you are. That's true. That's very true.
Absolutely. That's
You're
wonderful.
Yep, you're your best person to tell people who you are, and that just my whole thing is that I don't want to tell you. I just want to show you. Let me show you what I can do. And
Excellent.
yep. And you said what number 2 is relationship. You're funny, Cindy. Number 3 is toxic people.
Mm.
Yep.
You. Wow.
Successful people believe in the simple notion: you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Let's see. Think about where you work. Think about who you are, where you're at. You spend a lot of time with me, so that's a good thing. But you are the average of the 5 people. So you take, for instance, your mother and your brother and myself, and then 2 people at work. And you have to take those 2 people at work and make an average into one person. That's who makes you. So you want
Wow.
to surround yourself with great people, is because that you are the average. You'll never reach your peak until you surround yourself with the right people.
Oh, totally. That makes complete sense. I mean, that makes, that's common
Oh, it
sense if you
is.
have
Well,
any.
isn't that crazy?
And it is crazy, but it's absolutely true. I totally get that. You hang around people, or you live with people who are just, not in a good way, and you start picking up on that, and it's not good. And then you are squashed yourself. You can't blossom yourself until you get out of the situation, whether it's because you have to wait till you're old enough, or you're strong enough, you find that strength within, or what have you, and
Right.
and absolutely, like attracts like. And if you're in a good, positive, blessing, way, joyful way, then you want to be around those people to help, keep your spirits lifted at all times, as you
Absolutely.
help keep their spirits
Well, and
lifted.
that's the sole truth. You said it. Relationships. It's not just relationships of man and woman and everything else. That it's relationships you have with other people. You can't save everybody. I
Right?
hear
Yeah.
so many people say, "Well, I'm there for a reason. I'm supposed to help them." Well, but you have to count them as who you are. So if you think they need help, that means you need help. Isn't that crazy? We're not there to be their healer, their everything. They have a journey. They are who they are because that's what they chose. And
Right.
you know what? We're there. We send them love and we move on. Let them have their human experience.
Yeah.
Let them have their human journey.
Well, that's it, and it can be tough at times, especially if it's someone you're close to, a child or what have you. And but you're right. At some point, you just got to go. Okay, you know what? I've done what I could do, and now the challenge is up to them to, you know, go
Absolutely.
forth, and just for them to know that you're always there if they need you, for
Absolutely.
something, or you know.
I think I heard one day somebody say something about, I think you've paid your debts. How long do we have to pay other people's debts,
Oh,
and everything else that, we do. We pay our debts. We're done with it. Time to check in, time to look at the 5 people we hang out with, we talk to, and everything else, and find out if that's the type of person we want to be around, or is that the type of person we want to be. I'll never forget my grandfather one time when I felt like I was going crazy in that. And he says, before, Rod, and I've seen this in quotes now, but before you think you're crazy, look around who you're hanging out with. And he was absolutely right.
hey now, you just said we hang out a
No,
lot
that
and
was the
talk a lot.
past.
What the
Cindy,
heck?
that
You're
was the
calling me
past.
crazy?
That's not now. I'm not crazy.
Um,
I'm not crazy anymore. I'm not crazy
sure.
anymore. All right. Yeah,
Oh,
I'm
okay.
fine now. So, guess what number
Okay.
4 is? You'll like this because this fits in with everything you've been talking about and everything else. Number 4 is fear. Fear
Mm,
is nothing more than lingering emotion
yeah.
that's filled by imagination. Danger is real. Fear is nothing more than emerging emotion that is fueled by imagination. Is that crazy? Danger is real.
Well, it is, but yeah, but it makes sense though, I mean, you can talk yourself out of everything if you allow that fear to take, precedence.
But that was one of the things you talked about was there's a fear that goes along with this. You know, what kind of precedence do you want to set? You got out there and you started doing this, and there was because you were fearful about other things. You grew up in a fear-based life. There's things you're fearful, things of that you're going to lose. You're going to do this, going to do that, and everything else is fear all the time. It was the idea of the same thing with
Right.
me being up here in Idaho and you being in Phoenix, Arizona. There's a fear. But that's because it's in our imagination. Fear is a choice.
Right.
Successful people know that better than anyone does, that they flip fear on, it's and off. We can flip it on and on at any time. There is such an addiction with fear that people live for it. That's an excuse. I posted on Facebook the other day, and that is that we have all these excuses. The full moon is in Gemini. There's a Mercury retrograde going on. There's the planet alignments. There's all these things that we can use as excuses. There's now spiritual excuses for a lot of things, and it's sad because there's so much real out there.
Oh, absolutely. And it's not to say that we're not affected by what goes on in the universe, but at the same time, you are of a human, stature, and you are on this, planet here, and there are some physical things that you have choices of making or deciding on how things are going to be.
Fear, the worst thing that can happen to you is allowing yourself to die inside while you're still alive. And we know so many people that do that. They just die. The thing is that's what has happened in the past, is that what's going on with this change of this energy out there is people had died inside. And the only way to reawaken these people is something traumatic to happen in their life. It's like we put these jumper cables on them. And it's like we see this in marriages and everything else, is that somebody dies inside, they're done. They don't want to go do things or go out and have fun or anything else. They died inside. So something traumatic has happened to them where they get these jumper cables put on them and boom, they come back alive because they had to. Because that's what this energy is all about, is moving forward and changing. It's an ever-changing thing all the time. And it's crazy.
Right.
Number 5 is negativity. Life won't always go the way you want it to. But when it comes down to it, you have the same 24 hours in the day as everybody else. Yep.
Wow. That's true.
It's not always the way, but we do. We have the same 24 hours everybody else do. Why is that guy happy? Why is that guy this? Why got all these negativities? And that is like everybody's fault. Instead of complaining about how things could have been, and should have been, or could have, would have, that we should reflect on everything that we have and be grateful for it. So much.
Oh, heck yeah. I say try to turn it around. Spin your wheels and your energies on more of the positive. Swing your pendulum that way instead of on the, opposite side. We're all going to have the dark and the ugly and the negative and blah, blah, blah. But look, there is always the other side too, which is the good, the joy, and the happy. And, that's what we are really trying to strive for. Ultimately, we have these challenges and lessons and tests, that we have to go through. But, look, don't always think of it as doom and gloom, and if you have that moment, okay, have your moment, move on, and, and take it for what it's worth, learn it and move on. Why sit around wasting your everyday, being so unhappy?
No, you're absolutely right. There was something that somebody
it.
told me, is that if negativity was a smoker, okay, would you sit there all day and inhale it all day, secondhand smoke? Right. I mean, so if negativity is constantly like that and it's constantly bombarded at you, would you just take it every day? And I've used that. I've talked to my clients about that. I've talked to them and asked them, would you do this? Would you really accept this? And no. It says, well, then why do you accept what is going on in their life right now? Why do we, Cindy? Why do we accept that? Why
Right.
do we allow that this is okay to have negativity around us? We have a choice in everything, just like fear. Fear is a choice. Negativity is a choice. If I don't want to be around negativity, I don't have to. I don't
Amen.
want to talk about it. Oh, well,
Amen.
then you need to be open about this stuff. No, I don't need to be anything. To me, that's negative. And you know what? How I think and feel is how it comes out. I feel from my heart. And if my heart says, no, this isn't right, then it's not right to me, for me. And I'm open to a lot of things.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I've left a lot of situations and people, I shouldn't say a lot, but some in my life that just were not conducive. It was not healthy for me. I don't say it
Right.
was terrible, but it just was like what we're talking about, the whole negative. I didn't want to be around that negativity and that kind of type of energy because I was on a whole different level. I'm on the, light side, the white side. And it's not that I'm in denial of it or ignore it because I know there are going to be times and days in my life that I have to, endure it for whatever the reason, but to move forward real quickly as possible. But yeah, I totally, it didn't fit. When you vibrate on a higher level, this negative stuff, it's just gross. You just feel like, for me, at one point in my life, I just felt like I was drudging through mud, like I was stuck, or like I was that lotus that wanted purged through that mud, and she just was stuck. And once I realized that I could see a little bit of an opening and a reason to move forward and get out of that, I did. That flower, she just started shooting right up me, and to this full bloom of this 1,000 petal lotus. And that's what I feel like, and that's how I felt when I removed myself from that situation. And I encourage anybody and everybody out there to do the same. Again, like you said, you have choices. If there's any way possible, the universe will be on your side and will help you and guide you, and or lead you to the people that will help you and guide you, to help you get out of a situation. If you really want it, it can happen. Again, it's mind. It's your mind. It's your mental that can help
Right.
you forge forward in your life. Accomplishing 7 summits, getting out of a bad situation. Or you can do it because our goal in our human life is our soul, and our soul wants to keep progressing in a higher vibrational level. Ultimately, when we go through all of our lives that we're going to have many of, and we accomplish all these lessons we have to learn, the ultimate goal is to be like, the avatars in our past, to have that nirvana. Well, you can't have it if you don't go through some of these experiences, but you also have to get through that experience, get through that karma, go, okay, that was a karmic, moment, I got it. Thank you. Let me move forward now. And just remove yourself again from those negative areas because you don't deserve it. You
Wow.
don't want to be there.
Wow, that was really good, Cindy. Well, and you know what? And I know that
Thank
you
you.
have gone through a lot of this yourself, and myself too. Is that we've had to remove ourselves from
Hmm.
certain situations and everything else, and to better ourselves. I surround myself with good people. Remember, the 5 people we hang around with is what makes who we are. The average. So it's great. That we know that.
No, I was gonna say, even we may grow up in a family that maybe a parent or both or what have you, or somebody in your family may not be of a more of a positive, influence. Maybe they may be more negative or more of a selfish, type controlling person. Like someone in my family, my dad.
Right.
No, and I love him, I do, but he that's just who he is. I as an adult could have been like my dad, and I'm not going to say I don't probably have some traits of my dad. It's, but I certainly learned from my dad, and to be the person that I wanted to be and not the person that he was. In other words, I saw in him things that I did not want to, instill in my children, or not instill, excuse me, be like my dad to, pass it on to my kids. I'm sorry, it's not coming out right. But anyways, I'm just grateful for my dad that I got to learn these things through him, but
They're
yet make
great
myself a
teachers,
better
aren't they?
person for my children. There you go.
That these great, wonderful teachers. I mean,
Yes,
I have two
yes.
of them in my life, and they're not going to, neither of them are going to listen to my podcast ever. Yes, my mother, my father, negative to the hilt, and I told myself, I'm not going to be this way. I love them both to death. My father has passed on now, but I
Yep.
love them both to death, and for who they are and what they instilled in me, and I'm grateful and I thank them for making me who I am today myself,
Hmm.
because I didn't want to be like that. I didn't want to. I mean, there was a time in my life I'm sure I wasn't the best or anything else than that, but I choose not to be that anymore, and that's not who I am. We're not who we were yesterday, the day before, and that we are constantly changing and always changing. We got to get to this number 6, honey. This number 6
Okay.
one it blows my mind because I hadn't read through these for a long time. So this number 6 challenges for most people. Number 6 challenges: the past are the future. Oh my gosh, think about that.
I don't know what's
Like
worse or
fear,
better.
the past and the future are products of in our mind. No amount of guilt can change the past. Did you
Right.
know that, Cindy? Yeah. No amount of guilt can change the past,
Oh,
and
wow.
no
Very
amount of
good.
anxiety can change the future. Remember, we always talk about, if you think of the past, you're depressed. If you think of the future, you become anxious. No amount of guilt can change the past, and no amount of anxiety can change the future. None. None of this. Yeah, we
There
live
you
for the
go.
moment. The
Absolutely.
most thing to do is live for the moment.
Well, it's the precious time of your life is the moment. It's not that you have to forget the past. You just don't want to
Right.
have it be part of your life because there are good memories in your past. But the future, you're right. You want to look
Whoa,
forward to
what?
some things. You got to have some goals and
What are you
what have
talking
you.
about?
But to
Goals?
not,
You have to have
to
goals?
be, yeah,
The heck's a
but to be
goal?
balancing those
Dreams. There you go. I
goals
like that better.
or dreams
Okay,
or
here's this
dreams.
this rule. I have rules, but you also, but right, we have a passion for it. But you also understand that the universe is driving us. We have no control. When we set the goals and we set our path, we're fighting against what the universe wants us to do, because it already knows what we're just supposed to say. Okay, I'm ready. Take me wherever. That's why I'm in Idaho, because the universe says, here you go. And don't get me wrong, I love Idaho up here and everything else, but sometimes it's like the universe sent me up here, like, to tell me that, like, send your son to camp because they want to just get rid of you for a while. I think that's what the universe did. They sent me up to Idaho for a while just to get rid of me for a while, because it's like, I don't know what to do with this guy. You know, I, I think that's what the universe is doing. Is that they're trying to conspire and think, what are we going to do with Rod? So they send him up to Idaho for a while to do some other stuff, which is crazy. So the past are the future. And I'm not saying, Cindy, I'm not saying you're wrong, but you, in this relationship of you and I, and that you're the one that is the planner and I'm the one that's the doer. And that's the whole thing. It's like, okay, you want to see the picture, while I just want to see how I can get
Yeah.
through the day. What can I get done today? And I will
Right.
lose interest in
Right.
something if I can't get something done today, because I stay in my now so much. I practice with it so much. It's funny that you and I are still together in any which way, shape, or form, because I lose interest in things. I just haven't lost interest in you. That's interesting. Or this podcast. I love this podcast. Or the spirituality. Oh my gosh, there's a whole list of things I haven't lost interest in. So it's really interesting. I remember Mark Twain, one of his writings in that, he always says, worry is like paying a debt you don't owe. Worry is like paying a debt you don't owe. Isn't that crazy? That's the whole idea of the past and future, that we worry
Nice.
about things. We worry about things in the past. We worry about things about the future. We have to accept our past, We have to make peace with our past.
Well, and that's just it. But I'm just saying, even in your past, you have some good memories too that you don't want to forget. Yeah, there are some things that you probably should forget, to move forward. But you also have your
Right.
future too, your desires and your wants of that, to continue to forge forward in your future too. I mean, you can't. I mean, yeah, you can live by the seat of your pants, no problems there. But
That's us,
sometimes it's
honey.
nice to have an idea of what to shoot for too.
Yes. Well, here's the
That
concept that
bullseye.
I've always believed in, about this is that, the only reason I look in the past anymore is just to see how far I've come. It's the only time I look back there.
Well, think about this. When someone passes away, what do
They
people who
cry.
are living do? One of the first things that they do? They okay,
Right. Yep.
they reminisce about the moments they had with that person, right? And
Yep.
that's
Well,
that's the
they're gone.
past. So those are the
You
good
know,
things in the
it's
past. They are able to share something of that person who has passed away because you're remembering all the happy moments you had with them, and that's what's cool about that,
oh, okay.
and there's
I,
nothing
I've
again,
lost
there's
a lot of
nothing wrong
people in
with
my
that.
life, and I've dealt with it. But everybody, you got to deal with that loss and everything else. Our body deals with loss every day. Loss of hair, loss of nails, loss of this, loss of that. Our body has to deal with loss all the time. We get used to loss. It's no longer here. It's more of a human aspect to worry, forget, blah 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 about the past and so who they were and what they are. That, and don't get me wrong, it's not that I don't think of my father or anybody else in my past that has passed away. It's not that at all. I mean, there's a lot of great people that I remember, but you know what? It's not a certain day that I remember them or whatever else. It's a certain thing. It's how they made me feel. It's an energy. What makes me relate to them. Ice cream makes me relate to my father. So that's a happy thought. It's that whole concept of that is that how far I've come from there. It just, we accept our past, and
Hmm.
we have to accept the uncertainty of our future. We just have to accept that where we're heading for.
Oh,
And,
absolutely.
I don't know. I have no idea. It's really interesting is that the physical body every once in a while looks at me and goes, "Hey, Rod, you're 55 years old. What are you going to do in your life?" And I get that. And I feel that because that's what society says is that when you get older, you have to have some sort of nest egg. You got to have this. You have to have that. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't think I'll ever stop doing what I do. And I think when I do stop doing something, I'm going to just die. I want to do something all the time, but I don't know what my future has in store for me. I really don't know. Okay, so the
Right.
last thing,
That's part of
the
your
last
goals.
thing on what a challenge is, and that challenge to people, number 7, is the state of the world. What do you think of that? The state of the world. People that watch the news and everything else and that, and they follow that news and endless cycle of war, violence, and everything else and that, there's always there the state of war. That's a challenge to them because that becomes, oh, why should I do anything? There's a war going on. There's this, there's that, blah blah blah. That's horrible. That's the whole. That's not even right. That's a challenge that people have, but it's also a choice, right? I don't watch the news. I don't. If I go to
Right.
somebody's house
Yeah,
and the news is
absolutely.
on and everything
Yep.
else, I'll sit there that. But I really don't. I don't. Yeah, I don't take too much stock into it. How's that?
Well, I agree too. For like 5 years, I did not hardly watch any TV at all, and especially the news. Probably even almost 6 years. But anyways, up until like just a few months ago, I started. I don't know what changed me, but I started getting up in the morning and having a cup of coffee and watching the news, and for about a half an hour, 40 minutes. And still, a part of me is not crazy about watching it because a lot of it is not good. But yet, a part of me is like okay with it because it kind of keeps me in the know because more often than not people will be talking about stuff or things that are going out there in the world, and I'm like going, oh, I have no clue. Well, maybe I should have a clue of a little bit of things that are going out there. So again, like you, I don't take stock in it, but it's enough for me to at least listen to it for about 40 minutes in the morning to just kind of get an idea or abreast of what is out there happening. So I'm not so you know dumbfound when I hear things. I mean, I don't know. It just helps me to keep a little bit in touch without being involved.
Wow, that's crazy. I yet have not had somebody come up to me and say, "Did you know?" And me go, "What, honey? You're intuitive, Cindy. You know things already people don't know, and you know the truth of things." And basic.
Well, I know. Well, it's funny because I've told you. Sorry, oh, sorry. I was going to tell you that I'll have a vision or like a vision while I'm kind of half awake, half asleep, and then I'll watch the news, and that thing will show up on the news that same morning. But so I already saw it happening, I guess. But I know.
So basically, you're watching the news for the validation of what you already know.
Probably, but still, there's things out there I don't know, and it's not that I invest a lot into it. It's just kind of nice to know a little bit too. And I learned other things too, besides all the bad stuff. They do have some good stuff on there too.
I think you can get more information out of Facebook than you can on the news. So maybe you should read Facebook more often, Cindy. Actually, then we'll find out what some of your other friends are doing. It's not
Or eating.
are eating. Are eating. It was on Facebook. It has to be true.
Oh, definitely.
If a person could live their life the way they portray themselves on Facebook, what a life it would be.
But Facebook is cool. Sorry, Facebook is cool. Don't get me wrong, but it's repetitive. Whereas at least the news, you get a variety of things that are happening in your local area all the way out to the world. But anyways, go ahead.
I don't care. I have a hard enough time feeling the energy around me and who's in my space versus the whole world and that, because I can feel pretty far out to the point where I can feel you. Yeah, I mean, we have crazy times already together that we're 2,000 miles away and I can still feel you and I can see things and I get these weird pictures and I get these weird stuff that still comes through and everything else. And that, why would I have to watch the news unless I was trying to shut all that off and fill my head with other stuff? But hey, that's me, not you.
Right.
Oh, I'm not cutting you down, Cindy. Don't take it as I was cutting you down. I'm just making fun of it because you and I have so much other stuff going on too.
Oh, definitely.
We had some. What was that the other day? We had something crazy come through. What was that? Do you remember?
Well, just going back to number 7, talking about, being upset with the or what was it? Being upset with the world or
The state of the world.
State of the world. Thank you. So on Sunday morning when I was hiking Lookout Mountain, I got to the top. Well, first of all, you and I, just before I reached the top of the summit, we were talking about, just talking about angels, and you said I was an angel. I said, oh yeah, only when I'm sleeping. And you kind of laughed and chuckled at that because my mom always says that. That's why I said that.
Right.
And anyway, so I get to the top of the mountain, and it's just a time. Okay, honestly, this part of the mountain is just like next to the very top of the mountain, and it's a little spot that I love because I can sit. There's like a little seat, kind of, it's made out of the rocks, and I get to face south, that's where I resonate to, is the southeast. That's what I see. Anyway, so I get to the top of that, and it was just a mess. There was cigarette butts up there. There was, peanut shells.
Yeah.
And it really hurt my heart and soul to see that. I'm like, oh my gosh. And it brought tears to my eyes. It made me very emotional to see this. I'm going, oh my gosh, they could have at least flipped it off the edge there. So instead of right there where to me, it's my sacred spot. Now I have to sit in this trash, on top of this beautiful mountain,
Right.
And to answer your question, yes, that night I said, oh my gosh, Rod, I'm going to get a picture. A picture is going to come through. And then sure enough, we lost contact because, sometimes certain parts of the mountain
emotions.
Contact.
Yep.
And it was the emotions. Yes. Well, yeah, you're right. First it was the emotions, and then you called me back, and then going down the mountain, we lost contact. And sure enough, a picture came through, and it was just beautiful. It was of Mother Mary and an angel on her, like, not bent over, but kneeling, right? Is that what it was?
Yes, kneeling on a bench. Yeah, we never did figure out what that was.
Yeah.
But yeah, she was kneeling at maybe a prayer bench or something. We're not sure what it was.
Right. So anyway, so that was that. And then when we were talking on the phone about that, we heard noises on the phone. I said, oh, we're going to get another picture or something or a message. Sure enough, another beautiful picture came through your phone to me. And it was Mother Mary again with 7 angels.
That's
up
right.
above her.
Yeah. Crowning Mother Mary.
Yep.
Yep. That's right. Yep. That's right. That was beautiful.
It was, but that's what happens between you and I. We get these, moments of excitement or, it's about emotions and feelings, and all of a sudden a picture or a message will pop up on my phone or your phone. And it's just beautiful. I mean, even, the cat, my mom's cat who passed away almost 2 years ago.
Yes.
Your
Oh
phone
my
sent me that
gosh.
picture of the cat because earlier that morning on Sunday morning, we were talking about it because my mom saw her, spirit. And I was like, wow.
It was like 1 o'clock in the morning, right? That was 1 o'clock in the morning
Yeah.
when that picture got sent. It's like I'm not up at 1 o'clock in the morning. I don't know how the heck that picture got sent.
Right?
That's crazy.
It is crazy. So yes, you're right. We get to experience these really cool, cool things. And honest to God, I'd rather have that all the time versus, what's out
Oh,
there in the
absolutely.
world.
Yeah.
But
True that.
the world is our reality too. And that's why we have these spiritual moments to keep us in the awakened moment to help send peace and love to that as well.
Yes, if you guys can't tell, Cindy is the person that keeps me here grounded on Earth, and that I would float around if it wasn't for her, probably. So I hate doing this, Cindy. Our time is up, and we just whipped right through all that stuff, and I'm still ecstatic. I'm still excited. I'm a little sad, but grateful. It's in the past. I miss being there with you for this challenge, and it is the past. But I still that there's part of me that misses being there and feeling your excitement and everything else. I'm really proud of you, very proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I got to say a little bit of shout out is that my documentary came out. These two beautiful people, David and Gail Marsh, came out and they're with the AZ Marketing, Video Marketing. If you just contact me if you want their information, that they're wonderful. They did this wonderful documentary and it's out now. And I was their first episode of this documentary. Honey, that was awesome. You saw that. It was amazing. They did such a great job with the lighting, editing, and that they actually made me look good.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I was there during the live part of it, but then I did see some of the video as well. And David Marsh is awesome at that. And he does a fantastic job. And his beautiful wife, Gail, who helps him out, just wonderful. And it was a very good segment. And I know he has more coming out. And
Oh
I look
yes.
forward to watching those as well.
Yeah, well, we're going to have one coming up too. We did one before I left. It's the Rod and Cindy podcast segment. And I can't wait to watch that one. That's going to be an awesome one too. That they got some really good guests coming out there. I saw Mr. Mike is going to be one of them, Mike Mulaski. He's a friend of ours. And I'm glad to see he's going to be one of their guests. That it's awesome. Hey, we're almost at 1,000 Instagram followers. 1,000. We just started this Instagram. We're at almost 1,000 followers. I'm so excited about that. We were number 4 this morning on the Spiritual Podcast on iTunes, and
Woo-hoo.
yeah, and we're going to hit 1,000 followers on our Instagram. I am so excited. The Rod and Cindy podcast is going places. I'm happy. Absolutely. Absolutely.
I am too. I think it's so wonderful. And I certainly hope that whatever we share, that someone is able to, connect with it and it helps them to, uh, be aware of their situation or something, or be able to help them in their situation, and good, bad, or indifferent. I certainly hope that what we share and, helps them.
Right. Well, we're going to have to say goodnight to everybody. And one more thing, last thing, don't forget about last podcast. We actually talked about giving away leggings. On the 15th of December, you got and tell them to get your message out. And the secret code word was what, Cindy?
It's M like Mary, ARY.
M like Mary. It's Mary. You'll find all the information of where to send it to and everything else in the description below here. Oh my gosh, honey, it's always such a great time I have with you. Really hate saying goodnight to you, but we're going to have to. Our time is up.
All right. Well, thank you.
Well, thank you. That's it. That's all you get. Well, thank you. I said something really heartfelt, and all I get back is, well, thank you.
Well, no, I was going to say more.
Oh, okay. Giving you a bad time, honey. Shh.
Jabberjaws.
Jabberjaws.
Um, no, I just thank you. I really wanted to say again, thanks, Rod, and thank you all out there. The podcast is about challenges. I say just honor your any challenges that come forth your way and just go for it. Just know that within your heart and soul, that fire that burns within allows you to, to go through this challenge and to make it happen and to have good results out of the end of it. Because once you get through that challenge, you're going to be rewarded at the end, yourself. It's not that you have to have
Absolutely.
a trophy or anything. You will yourself, self reward is what you will achieve and accomplish and get in that challenge. So honor your challenges and thank you so much. And it's been a blessing and love to all.
No participation trophy for you. All right.
Aw, man.
Love you, everybody. Guys, have a great night. Love everybody. Have a good night. Night, Cindy.
Good night. Thank you. Bye.
Night, honey. Bye, honey.